We'll let Patty start us out.
Good afternoon. We're going to start the Parks Commission on August 20th at a little after 4 with roll call, starting with Jamie. Jamie?
Jamie Faraday.
Kirk Benward.
Patrick Bringardner.
Jared Schmidt.
Don't forget to turn on your mics. Patty Scott. And online?
Carmen Matthews.
All right. We will move on to public comment, starting with Noah, is it Riley? Kelly? Come on up to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Noah Kelly. I am Senior Patrol Leader of Troop 68, one of 3 troops that meet at the public building by Mingus Park, or the Scout Cabin. And I am working on my Eagle project, and what I want to do for my Eagle project is replace the roof on the Scout Cabin. And this morning, Yes, I know, it's a very big project. And I have a couple questions regarding that. First, I talked to Scott Davidson this morning, and he said, or from what I heard from him, is that there is money set aside specifically for the roof. Like, is that true?
To answer your question, we don't have dollars set aside specifically for the roof. However, we can always search for grants that could help support a possible re-roofing project. I know this commission is a desire to re-roof that Scout Cabin, and we do have a grant writer that has actively looked for grants in the past. I think that some of those grants have not come into fruition, but it doesn't mean that we can't look for grants in the future. But to answer your question specifically, we do not have dollars set aside for the re-roofing of that facility at this time. Okay.
And my second question, since it is a building on the historical register, what specific steps would I have to follow to meet the specific requirements?
One of our past members has looked into that, and she did identify at least 2 products that were acceptable for putting on a historic building, such as the Scout Cabin community building. And we have those samples in that building, in one of the storage rooms. But I don't have the name of the companies right now, but there are identified specs for those. And I understand that there is some money that is for a professional assessment of the structure, right?
That is correct. We're seeking we sought and received a grant for a building assessment for the structural soundness of that facility, yes, to be able to support a possible reconstruction or re-roofing of that facility. But we have to understand what the beams, what the structural soundness of that facility is right now before we can move forward with any other projects. Yeah. So we do have an assessment that is scheduled to be done, and we have applied for and received a grant for that structural assessment.
What's the timeline for that assessment? Do you know, Greg?
I don't have that timeline. I do know that we do have gone through SHPO for the scope of work to be accepted by them. I think they signed off on that, but I don't have a schedule yet as to when that work is going to be done.
Okay, because I'm just thinking before Noah would want to get involved in that, that would be a first step for the assessment of the building to see structurally, what can be done as far as the roof is concerned. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not mistaken, excuse me, one part of that, when they did some foundation work, there was one part of the building that had some foundation problems.
So
and that kind of limited what could be done with the roof, because wasn't there a tarp over it or whatever?
So there is a tarp over the roof, but that was done. That was due to the tree falling down in whatever it was. But the foundation stabilization project that you're referring to, that project was successful in stabilizing the foundation. And it did identify one of the corners as not being needed to be stabilized. It was in good shape, that we had suspected needed to be stabilized. But my understanding, and I can look at the report, I just don't remember off the top of my head what that was. But I believe that the structure, the foundation was in good shape. The rest of the building itself is what we're looking to get that structural assessment, that grant for that structural assessment is what we're looking at next.
Okay. Yeah. And, I'm just trying to think of funding sources for doing the roof too. So the assessment probably would need to be done structurally on the building to see what was required, and we know a couple of materials that work on the roof. I mean, is there somebody on city staff that he could work with as far as look at funding opportunities are concerned?
Yeah, actually, I would love to work with Noah on this project. Myself, my staff. I think looking for funding, we would lean heavily on our grant writer to look for opportunities for that. But yeah, I could definitely look for the specifications and the requirements for the National Historic Registry building, what that looks like, what work they can perform up there. But yeah, I would definitely look forward to working with him on this project.
Noah, what's your timeline for becoming an Eagle Scout? When do you need to get that done by?
So, before I'm 18, I'm 15, turning 16 in November, so I have 2 years-ish for the timeline.
Okay.
So we have a little time. It's not due tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, great. I was going to ask as well, because these projects, having done some of this in the past, can take some time, like as Greg was saying, with the critical assessment, doing the needs assessment, the structural analysis, and then working with the State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO. There's a lot of loops and steps to take, so I really commend you for pursuing this avenue. Like it's very cool. But there's a lot of like little steps and hoops you're going to jump through. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you have some time.
yes, me too.
There's a wealth of information that Coco Sutton has procured for this building, along with getting it set up as on the historic registry. So I will make sure that we get that information into your hands, so the relevant materials that you will be probably looking for to fund can be procured.
All right, thank you.
Can you remember, is it state and federal, or just one or the other, as far as historical recognition?
It'll be federal. If it's a National Historic Record landmark, yeah, it'll be a federal situation they're going to go through, and that paperwork to become registered should be in the county somewhere. It's online as well. Yeah, you should be able to you can go on the website, yeah, and just find by county, by city, by the whole. I've done this before.
It's a big project, but I would bet that the Parks Commission would certainly support you in any way they can. So,
Thank you.
Real quick, if you don't mind, Noah, I know that the Eagle Scout program is a very important program, and I think you and I have talked about this before. My question for you is, as your timeline gets smaller and smaller, because you're not going to stop aging and the requirements of 18 doesn't stop, is there another project that maybe you've considered that if this doesn't come into fruition in a timely manner, that you maybe consider that you could still ascertain your Eagle Scout badge and still have that benefit towards the community?
Yeah, I've plenty of littler, like small, easier stuff to do, because I know it's a little harder to do the whole roof. Probably the main one was just make the front look nicer, and I was thinking like replace the flagpole, maybe put a retaining wall where the just big hill is that's right outside, and the windows for the scout cabin. I know people break into the windows, so maybe like think it's called Riot Glass or something like that.
The riot glass would be, you have to probably ensure that it ensures historic continuity with the building, so that might be a bit of a tricky situation, especially if the glass is original. So that's something to maybe look into and put Plan E.
But yeah, I just don't, I would like for you to maybe make sure we can achieve that goal of your Eagle Scout badge. And we don't want to be a encumbrance on that, but I think for us, like Commissioner Benward said, we want to support you in this endeavor, but we also don't want to be a hindrance with all the rules and regulations and all the loopholes that we were talking about earlier. We don't want those to be an encumbrance on you. So we want you to achieve your goal. We want you to get your badge. We want you to earn this badge that not very many people get to get, but we also want you to make sure that we're doing it with our eyes wide open. So
I'm impressed with you wanting to take on the project. And I'm impressed with the way you thought through different options as well, too. So I think you got it together. But I would bet probably, regardless of which part of renovating the scout cabin that he takes on, being well-versed in the requirements for historical building would be a good place for him to start, regardless of what he ends up doing. So that's something we could probably help him with.
Sure.
absolutely.
We'll be talking.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, Noah.
All right, next public comment, Bill Davis.
Hello, I'm Bill Davis, and I'm here to talk about pickleball courts, and Patty knows all about them. But you have the tennis courts up above Mingus Park, and which are not being used at all, and we were looking to turn those into pickleball courts, if we could, if we get your support. And the bones, the structure's there. All you would have to do is go in there and blow it off, high pressure wash it, fix some of the cracks, and paint it, and that it would be a pickleball court. And that's what I'm here about. If you got any questions, just ask me.
Painting meaning just redrawing the lines?
Yeah, just redrawing the lines.
Yeah.
And I talked to some merchants, and we probably get the paint at cost. So, you know, our only problem is to wash it. There's no water source up there that we know of. You guys might know of another. And other than that, it would be a simple fix. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard of work. And Patty could tell you, the pickleball courts at SWAC are used a lot.
Well, first off, I'll tell you, down by the skate park, when we had the tennis courts down there, I proposed turning one of them into a pickleball court.
We have played down there.
Rather than letting it be the whole skate park.
We have played pickleball down there.
Yeah. I will also tell you, we've had two ladies come to our commission meeting that play tennis there all the time on those back courts. And then
We're not talking about taking the whole, we only want half of it.
Okay. By half of it, you mean one of the courts?
Yes, sir.
And then, unfortunately, there is water up there, but it's the kind that runs on the court.
Oh, well, yeah, but, yeah.
So you just have to know that the court farthest to the north has a drainage problem and gets
Farthest
a lot
to the
of
north.
water
Oh, well.
on the end of it as well. So, you know, I mean, how are you proposing? I mean, you said you could get the paint at cost. Are we talking about some group taking on the project?
Well, yeah. The person somebody was supposed to be here, but they're with the Marshfield High School, and they have a Marshfield High School pickleball club, and that's one of our alternatives to help, fundraise and all that. And I've talked to a couple merchants, and they're willing to help us.
Okay. And net the same?
Pardon me?
Is the net the same?
Well, the thing is, nets are about $1,500 a piece, but you can have portable nets. And there are plenty of people that have nets, and you just take your nets in there, set them up, and then play. And then actually, you can play tennis either, after the nets are gone.
Okay. Because we had a net stolen from up there as well. We did.
Oh, well,
Just saying.
and the one thing, if we do go up there and we do some work on it, we would want it locked up during when we were doing all this construction and whatnot. I mean, I don't think that would be a big deal, though. Because all you have to do is lock the gates and all that.
Thanks for answering my questions. I don't know if the rest of you have anything.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bill.
All right, and if we were to proceed with this, will we have to come back to you people, or what?
We'll have some discussion and see what the city thinks and give him an answer.
And another possibility, too, is I know you wanted someone else here from Marshfield, and maybe talk a little bit more about how you guys saw the project going and the cost for the project and stuff. Because we have work sessions, too, and that would be a good one to bring to one of our work sessions where we could talk through all of that, and that person could be there, and we could talk about the funding and timeline and that sort of stuff, too. We could actually put it on the agenda for the work session.
Because we're not asking you guys for any money, really.
That's good, because we don't have...
I know. I know.
I think a better, more put-together proposal is what we're looking for with
Oh, okay, all right.
timeline and maybe some pictures.
Come up with something on
and-
paper, and, all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Something more
much.
formal.
I appreciate all your efforts, and thanks again.
Just one comment, and I think it would be helpful to know if an entire court would be lost to pickleball, because there are people who do play tennis, and of
Yes,
course,
sir.
if they knew that they were losing a court,
Uh-huh.
they would probably want to come to the meeting as well and kind of be part of the discussion. And so if there's a way to somehow maintain
A
traditional
balance.
tennis court and also have a pickleball court at the same time, that would be ideal, to have it kind of be like a mixed-use court.
Because when we first started, we were down at Pony Village, the tennis courts down there, our Pony Creek Slough, and the tennis courts are still there. The lines are different, but you can still play both ways.
Because it may not necessarily, might not have to blast away all of the lines that are
No.
there. So tennis players know where the lines
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
pickleball players know where their lines are, and they can.
And at North Bend, up Ferry Street Park, we have half of it's pickleball and the other half is tennis courts. So, I mean, we share and try to get along as much as we can.
So, yeah, Bill, if you'd like, you feel free to reach out to me tomorrow. Maybe we can just share contacts. My name is Greg Hamblett with the city. Feel free to reach out to me, and we can share our information. You can give me some information so we can bring it to the commission if they want to have a work session.
Okay.
To bring that discussion, a bit more robust conversation about it. We can definitely do that. But it would have to come back to the Parks Commission and make a recommendation. But I think, Patrick's right. I think there's going to be more of a comment period or more of a conversation that would have to take place.
All right, and when I come back, we'll come back with something on paper and all that. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank
You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, could I jump in on this conversation?
Yep, Carmen?
You have questions?
So Bill had already come into the city council and, requested this, and then we sent him over here to the Parks Commission for a discussion. And I think this is the first step, as you were stating. I do think we should put this on as an agenda item, and I'm not sure if you want to go the route of the work session, that's fine, or if you need a commissioner to request this as a potential agenda item, I'd be happy to do so. I do think we need to have this conversation. We're getting asks on this. It is something that I believe this community is asking for in general. And so I don't know. If having the work session first is the best way to go, I'm fine with that. But if you need a commissioner to just stand up and say, let's put it forward on the agenda, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Carmen. Ariane Lyons, I apologize for my tardiness. I think what we'll do is we'll discuss it at the work session, and then we can put it on the agenda at the work session. For
Okay.
the following month.
And how will we get in contact with you? You get in contact with us?
Greg?
Just reach out to me. I don't have any business cards with me to give to you right now, but just you can call me tomorrow and ask for me, and Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And we can definitely talk, Christine's going to grab a business card for you.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, thank you.
And we might not get back to you tomorrow, because,
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Just
We
before the first
Yeah.
Thursday of the month.
Yeah.
first Thursday of the month.
A couple of days, about a week before would be great.
Okay, well, thank you so
As
much.
soon as possible would be
All right.
better.
Like I said, I think it'd be a great asset to the community, though. Like I said, because Patty will tell you, they play pickleball over at SWAC 24 hours a day. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, do we have any additional public comment, or are we moving on from that? Okay. Sweet. Moving on down to action items 3A, Port of Coos Bay South Coast Rail Trail Project discussion. So we will invite the port up to have a discussion. You want to, or we'll just yell at you, or Greg, do you want to?
Well, we can definitely bring them in. So this is a discussion of the Parks Commission involvement in the public's comments of the potential upcoming project, the South Coast Rail Trail Project. The port is here to kind of maybe answer some questions that the commission might have. Just kind of a real brief background. The Rail to Trail Project is a regional initiative exploring the potential conversion of approximately 16 miles of inactive segment of Coos Bay rail line into a multi-use trail connecting Bunker Hill Terminal 1 area near Coos Bay downtown to Coquille. So with that, I'll turn it over to Matt.
Yeah, and I thought it was important for the port to have these conversations so we can have a continued open dialogue, even though we're not talking about areas that directly involve us now, but so that we can continue and have this conversation and participate in the project. So, Matt, is there anything you'd like to share with us about the project?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for the opportunity. Matt Friesen, Director of External Affairs with the Oregon International Port of Coos Bay. And here, just at the request of the chair, we were in a meeting recently, and I know Linnell, our CEO, is behind me as well. But happy to try to answer any questions. At this point, it is very preliminary. This the idea is not a new idea for the trail. It really, as we've been kind of looking into it, learned that it goes back a couple decades, really, where initially some of the commissioners in previous iterations had looked at our Rails with Trails kind of project, and so as part of our recent strategic business plan update work that we did in 2025. We had some public engagement and some meetings, and that's kind of where the idea came back up for the section of rail that's really kind of south of town, and from the old Georgia Pacific site south. So we started meeting with folks and said, well, let's try to get some more information. So I have been having some steering committee meetings and some collaborative opportunities to chat with local leadership and people that are interested in the project, and decided that the best route now was to apply for a feasibility study grant. So we've got that application in. It is a TGM grant, which is a Transportation and Growth Management Program grant, and that is through ODOT. And so once we get that back in the next, let's see, we hope to hear the reward results in mid-October. So that's kind of where that's at.
Do the commissioners have any comments? Jamie?
Very exciting. Being a bicyclist and a user of Rails to Trails wherever I can find them. We don't have one here, obviously, and seeing that there's no tracks south of town that have been like that for I'm not sure how long. I think you mentioned it. So this, from the Bunker Hill Terminal to Coquille is big. That's a long stretch, and that would in itself be a draw to this area for those people who love to, and especially along a fairly flat course from here to Coquille. A little bit of up and over Toledo, but I don't even know where that heads, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to to finding out what we can learn, and I know we've been working with the city and city representatives from the beginning, so we recognize the community need. We've been talking to. It doesn't take much to realize there's not a lot of places that are flat, especially for a longer area like that, where you can really get a run-in that's safe. Where there's not a lot of shoulders here where you can do that. So it would be a unique resource and asset, and we know that there have been interest from the city, and so we're kind of trying to break it up into 2 study areas. We're trying to get the information as fast as we can so we can get feedback from the community, from you, from the county, and other local governments, as well as advocacy organizations in the community to see. We also recognize, our mission is economic development, so we're always kind of in that balancing act, but also recognize that a healthy, flourishing community is also what we're all striving for. So we're trying to approach this in a collaborative way, and also just move forward with the best information that we have. So this was kind of the approach that we settled on, that we thought made the most sense and was responsible steward. And we'll continue to be meeting as we, I assume, I don't know if we have anything scheduled now, but we're continuing to meet with a variety of local organizations and local governments. And Linnell, do you have anything else to add? So I think that's kind of where we're at. We got the application in, and we'll make sure to let folks know as soon as we know more.
Help me out a little bit. Exactly where would it start?
Well, we don't have, that's kind of what we want to learn is where it could start. I think what we'll get back is some different options for where the trail could start. The rail line, goes all the way to Coquille. So we haven't made any decisions on where it would start or end.
Okay.
The feasibility study will outline or address or find trailhead locations. But preliminary, we're thinking Terminal 1, which is the old Georgia Pacific Mill site, south to Coquille.
Okay.
And then we're looking into, the feasibility study will also look into different phases or different options of extending that trail north through Coos Bay up to the Copo Casino, and then another option of extending it even further to the Swing Street Bridge through North Bend.
Yeah. Of course, we would all love that. But I'm with Jamie. I mean, I think having a rails to trails out to Coquille would be wonderful too, as well. The only reason I ask is, one, I kind of wanted to know where it started, just out of curiosity. But Jamie and some of our other board members are on a pedestrian and bike fact-finding committee for us, and we're in the process. We've gotten a grant from ODOT to do a master plan for bike and pedestrian scheme in Coos Bay. And so it would be nice to coordinate with them so that when you kind of know where you are, we could think about how does our bike plan tie into the rails to trails. And I think that would be really, really helpful. So.
In that process, I just heard from Jennifer Wersing that it was going to be probably this fall sometime when we get a citizen advisory committee organized with the ODOT consultant to look at how to connect bikeways and pedestrian ways in Coos Bay. And it would be great to have them at least aware of this potential.
Yeah, and to keep you informed too,
Yeah.
because it may make a difference on where you want the trail to start as well. So I think that would be important. The only other comment that I've got is that I know that ODOT is looking at cutting back some of its funding and things. And so I've read some things where they're trying to make up their minds on what they want to spend their money on, and the cutbacks, and the federal government part of the funding that they get for those things has been cut back too. So I'm just hoping you get the grant and it goes through, because I think it would be just a super project. And I think a lot of people would use it, more than we might anticipate.
For sure.
Would the rail line, would that little strip of land, would it get turned over to the city? Would it still be property of the port?
As far as the rail line or the path, the port would still own the right of way and the line. It would, but yeah, there's a variety of different ways that it could be converted, and those are the kind of things that we'll get some good recommendations on for the best path forward. No pun intended. To do that. So yeah, and we're happy to come back and report back whenever. We definitely want to stay connected on the work that you're doing so that there's not any, unintended or duplication of efforts or anything like that, and make sure that part of your transportation planning work is tied in with this. Again, it's early, but it'll be good to have some stronger information so we don't have to speculate quite as much, but we'll have some real data.
And then in the meanwhile, since the line isn't being used, I know there's a lot of no trespassing signs kind of down by that terminal. If say we wanted to go for a hike and check out the line and see what it looked like, and is it going to be as enjoyable as we all hope it would be, or is it going to be loud and close to the highway and maybe not so nice? Are we allowed to walk along that rail line?
Currently, that's probably not the best idea.
Currently, he's legally obligated to tell you no.
We would be happy to work with you and talk with the rail line, and the executive director is behind me. She could work with you as well of the Coos Bay Rail Line to check it out, and even potentially do maybe if we can. I know we continue to maintain it as best we can, and a lot of the challenge is just resources. Is we've had to cut back a lot of our crew on the Coos Bay Rail Line, so some of the maintenance challenges come from that. But we'd be happy to work with you or work with the city to try to work on a tour to see what it looks like now, and maybe even do a high rail. I've kind of wanted to see too, just kind of how the length of it, but it's challenging to get people away from hauling product for our customers. But we could try to figure something out. But yeah, at this point, we try to just for safety of everyone to keep folks from meandering onto the rail.
So I'm sure your feasibility study will cover it, but I was just thinking of sections that are maybe for a train. It's okay if it's getting kind of close to or the highway, or maybe really close to a drop-off that goes into the bay. But then if you have people recreating, you need a fence. That fence would have to go up, and is there enough room for a fence? And if a fence goes up, would that make it less pleasing to be out there? And all those things. And maybe reducing noise. If it's just really, really loud, no one's going to want to walk along a busy highway with log trucks, going 70 miles an hour.
I don't know that rail line really well, but in my mind, I'm trying to think how close it gets to like Highway 101, and it's a fair ways away from it, going alongside the bay, and it would certainly be a lot safer than people that ride on Highway 101 with their bikes, for example.
Right.
I have limited experience with Rails to Trails. I used to belong to that group. But the bigger thing was always crossings, where it crossed a road, for example, or whatever, signage for that, because sometimes people aren't looking for bikes or pedestrians to come off the trail across the road. So.
Yeah, and a significant part of this funding too will go to community outreach and community engagement. That will be, if we get the grant award, that's part of the design. It's got that as an important component of it. So it would be reaching out and doing that outreach along the path to make sure we're taking all those considerations, and the consultants are looking at those kinds of factors, such as safety and how to adapt something like that, if that is the recommended route, and the ability to of course find funding and partnerships and all that kind of thing if that happens down the road.
Okay. I'm going to pop over to Carmen. He's had his hand up. Carmen?
Yes. Hello. Sorry, I had to find the mute button there for a second. Well, I just want to say, first off, thank you for coming to present today. Really excited about this project, and I just want to voice my support for this direction that we're moving. And really appreciate the efforts that you all are putting into working on this on kind of the whole community's behalf. I think it will greatly improve the livability of this area if we're able to expand our trail network in general. And I think that this is maybe one of the biggest key components to doing that on a larger scale. So, south of Coos Bay totally makes sense. And I appreciate you keeping us up to date on, what's happening in that realm. I do remember some kind of talk, and maybe Linnell spoke to this. I couldn't really hear her with the lack of a microphone at the point during this meeting, but maybe she already touched on this. It had to do something like when the last rail car has gone over this section of rail, and it's been quite a while south of town, but more recent in town. And this body is obviously very interested with what happens within the city limits. And I just wanted to get a sense if the port in general is in support of moving forward with rails to trails, if it's applicable and allowable within the city limits.
Do you want to comment on that, or?
Yeah,
I would phoning a friend, CEO Linnell Comstock.
Hi, I'm Linnell Comstock, the Chief Executive Officer of the Port of Coos Bay. Are we in support of support of bringing the rail trail into the town? Yes, but we're also in support of industry and trains moving through town too. So it's a balance there, and it depends on the future of the rail line. So I'm glad that the feasibility study will be addressing that and looking into all of our options so we can decide which way to go. Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Well,
any other questions, Carmen?
Not really. Well, I guess, what would you propose we do as a governing body that is tasked with focusing on the transportation infrastructure development for multimodal options? Like, what should we? It doesn't sound like it's something we can hang our hat on in terms of, like, this is this main artery of pedestrian travel, which would be idyllic, in my opinion, would be amazing. But as we are doing our planning, what would you suggest that how we should move forward? I mean, just assuming that it's not going to happen and hoping for the best, or?
Yeah, not necessarily. And unfortunately, it really is a waiting game until we can complete this feasibility study. I know you guys you talked about like taking the rails out now as soon as possible in Front Street. But yeah, unfortunately, we need to wait till we find what the feasibility study says, and then we have to go through the process through the Surface Transportation Board to go through the rail banking process and finding a trail sponsor. So it's unfortunately a very lengthy process, and we're still looking probably at about 1.5 to 2 years out.
Okay.
I think I speak for all of us when we're excited about the fact that we're having the conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
So
yes,
I think
absolutely.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to pigeonhole you into a specific
It's
position.
okay. No, it's just, and I apologize for the lengthy process too, and then we can't have answers sooner.
Well, if anybody understands the lengthy process at which all of these things go through, I definitely am sympathetic to that, and I understand. It's just that, from my position, I'm looking at like trying to, develop a strategy moving forward, and you all are a big part of that. Whether you're in support of it or not, you are a big player. So just trying to kind of figure out what my footing is in terms of moving forward. And I just want to say I really appreciate you coming today and just working with the city in general. I feel that the communication between the port and the city of Coos Bay has been greatly improved.
Absolutely. Thank
over the
you.
last few years, and I just it's very appreciated. It's very refreshing, and I applaud you for all the effort that you're putting into that, and just very grateful. So, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, I hope we keep you advised too, because, we have a Front
Yes.
Street project
Yep,
going
exactly.
on with the design. And so the rail tracks down there, and we've talked about this. We know that it's a long time for you to get that resolved one way or the other, the best way for the port to go with those rails. But just so we all talk about that, because the Front Street project one of these days is going to come to fruition as well.
Definitely.
And so those tracks down there are going to be a big part of it.
Yep, agreed. And I think Matt mentioned our stakeholder group, and in that stakeholder group, we do have Nicole Rutherford and Mayor Benetti and Councilor DeNovo. So we are and we're always in great communication with Jennifer as well. So we'll definitely be in communication as anything comes up, any movement whatsoever.
Great. Awesome.
Thanks for taking the first step.
One quick question. Well, I've, the rails with trails. So having a trail that goes up along the 101 going north would also be really great, since there's, so I was wondering if that is also going to be part of the feasibility
No,
study?
that will not be, mostly just because of the PCIP, the Pacific Coast Intermodal Port project moving forward. That's going to have a lot of traffic, and that would not be very safe.
Yeah.
I think that's one big thing about this project too, and the feasibility study is, or the project in general, is the safety of bikes and things along Highway 101. I think that's ODOT's exciting feature. That's what they're excited about, is the safety of bikes along Highway 101 and adding that extra transportation options too.
Jared,
But, no.
Patty?
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate the open communication. I think all of us appreciate that so much. And also, we love field trips.
Oh,
So,
good.
Yeah.
We love giving tours as well, so
we're
plan
completely
that.
down for that.
Sounds great. Good, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks.
Yeah, but we have to go in twos or something?
No, it's different. That's
So
different.
we don't have official meeting?
No, we're working around that legalities there. As long as none of us are allowed to speak.
Because I was going to say, I've always wanted us to get together in one of our parks.
We've
and
tried.
look what's going on there.
Yes, it's a whole thing.
Okay, all right.
Moving on down to action item 3B, Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery update.
I saw Cricket here. She's here somewhere.
The Boy Scouts, I believe.
Okay, I see her reflection slightly. So let's bump down to action item 3C, Parks and Grants update, and then we'll come back to her.
Right. Well, it's just, I won't spend too much time on this because I hope that you guys have all had a chance to read through it. But I'll just hit some highlights, if you don't mind. Starting off with the John Toppitz Park Wildfire Mitigation project. So we have reached out to the grantor to seek a extension, and they granted that to us to December 31st. Still working with our contractor to see when he can get back into town to finish the project. But also, we are on talks with Coos Forest Patrol to see if we can get them in there as well to maybe help that project along in the meantime. Jumping down just a little bit, we touched on a little bit the Mingus Park Community Building Historic Preservation and Interpretation project. We did receive that grant for the structural assessment, so we're going to be moving forward with that. I will provide a status update, get a schedule at the next regular meeting. Hopefully we have some movement by then. We're still waiting up on the Mingus Park Playground grant. We applied for it. We're just waiting now for the announcements. Hopefully we'll find out in the summertime here. I'm not exactly sure when. We should have a decision in the fall time whether we receive that grant or not. Hopefully we're successful and we get some new playground equipment and some new ground covering there for the playgrounds at Mingus Park. The Umpire boat ramp debris boom, I probably should have changed the name to the wave attenuator. I apologize about that. But the wave attenuator and pile project is moving forward. The contracts have been executed as of the 18th. So now we're just looking to schedule a pre-construction meeting and hopefully get that project moving along. But right now, all the paperwork is done, so now it's just a matter of getting the meeting scheduled and getting the boots on the ground and getting stuff built. And just kind of jumping down, operation and maintenance. We've been very busy in the parks, keeping the grass cut down to a walkable height. We have installed the thermoplastic at the Mingus Park entrance to kind of thwart folks from driving in. We've ordered a couple more signs to say, hey, only authorized vehicles beyond this point. We did notice that we did have some visitors traveling through the pool entrance into the park, so we're going to add some more signs up there as well. The landscaping at the Tug Irene and the boardwalk project has begun, keeping the boardwalk clean. So each week they're down there pressure washing, and hopefully you guys have seen a difference if you've been down on the boardwalk. So that work hopefully continues to go along as planned. Kurt, just to let you know, after last conversation we had, staff is working on quotes to replace the handrail and the bulwarks on the boardwalk. So we've got some, we should have some numbers coming in here soon. Unfortunately, probably what we're going to buy, that we could afford, is going to be green timbers or green lumber. So it's going to have to dry. So we'll probably end up having to do the installation once we buy it, probably next spring. And then we'll have to paint it. Kind of like what we did with the handrails earlier this year. We installed it and then we came back by and painted it. I can't remember, was that this year or last year? Oh my gosh, time flies. But we're going to end up doing that. The float at John Toppit's Park has been installed. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to go look at it yet. The ODFW, they had a grant through the R&D project. And they installed a fishing dock down there. It looks great. I've seen some people fishing out there. I don't know how successful they are, but that's why they call it fishing, not catching.
I saw a guy catch a fish about this big, so.
That's a trophy right there. Not good eating, I'm sure. Can't get a lot of meat off of it, but I'm sure it's good. And then finally, staff has been very busy along Ocean Boulevard, trimming back the brush. I did find out, I've been living here for several years, and I found out that we actually have a 5-foot wide sidewalk along Ocean Boulevard versus a 3-foot wide sidewalk. So we were able to push a lot of that growth back and expand the sidewalk to its original state. So they've been very busy up there on Ocean Boulevard.
Jamie?
I'm sure you have a question, Jamie.
Have all the markers in Toppit's Park that were adopted, have they been replaced?
They've all been installed.
Okay, good.
Kurt?
Thanks for working on that stuff down on the boardwalk. That's just kind of an entry point for the city for tourists, and I think it's so important that it looks the best that we can afford to make it look. So I really appreciate you guys working on that. The forest fire mitigation, the brush mitigation around Toppit's Park, is that the contractor just hasn't had time to come back? Is that the deal?
That's correct. He's had other obligations, contracts he's had, and so he's had to pull off and come back and pull off and come back. There was a delay at the beginning of the year when he was in the throes of it, that he had other obligations, and during that time he went ahead and scheduled some other work, and so he's just been obligated elsewhere.
So has he been paid for the work that he's done already?
He has.
Okay. And knowing that you got that grant extended through December, can we get a commitment from him that it's going to be done before then, so we don't have to worry about the grant funding?
Well, that's why we're reaching out to other resources to hopefully get that done, because we're not sure exactly when he's going to be able to make it back. He did great work. He made a very timely effort of it, but we, again, want to make sure that we're using those dollars the way they're intended, and so we want to make sure that we can get another contractor in here if we have to.
Yeah, so are we committed contractually to him for doing the work?
If we can't get him back in here, we can always back out of that contract.
Okay, yeah, because you know, it would be nice, obviously, to have it done. I would just one other, since we're kind of talking about these things, one other question about Tapas Park. I noticed one of the access roads were closed to vehicle traffic, but not pedestrians and bikes. Can you kind of fill us in on what's going on out there?
Sure. So the Ackerman entrance was closed about 2 years ago. We had an act of vandalism there. That act ended up flooding, and the subsequent flooding tore the road apart. But then it was also a precursor to identifying some other issues that we were having there. We noticed that since we had that area closed, we were spending a lot less time there cleaning and picking up trash and less police calls and less efforts in the park of vandalism, less unhoused population in that particular side of the park. And so we made the decision to go ahead and just leave it closed. We didn't see a benefit of opening it back up, and we didn't see a big detractor from having it closed to vehicular traffic. Pedestrians can still access it, bicyclists can still access it. We just have it closed for vehicular traffic.
Is there going to be any problem with people driving up on their vehicle and parking on Ackerman on the street and to try to get in there? Is that going to cause any problems for anybody that normally uses Ackerman for a residence or something else?
It's public right-of-way, and folks can park on the public right-of-way. I think that we haven't heard of any issues. Nobody's brought it to our attention. And so it just hasn't come up. So none have been identified.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions or comments on the staff report? No? All right, thank you. We're going to bump back up to action item 3B, Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery update.
Cricket Souls, and I live outside Coos Bay. And I had to go check on, we've been trying for 20 years to get Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts in there to do some service projects. And there's some great Star and Life Scout projects in there, and they get recognized in other ways, so maybe. But their troop has like 5 kids in it, so it's hard to do. So I'm going to back up all the way to 4th of July. So generally the city mows the cemetery 3 times a year. They have it looking spiffy with a lot of help from volunteers for Memorial Day. Then they mow the aisles for 4th of July, and by then we've usually stopped getting water, so they don't grow too much. So they kind of survive over the summer, and then they mow again in October to put things to bed. Well, they missed the 4th of July thing, and there was nothing we could do about it. So when you only have like 1 full-time maintenance and then 2 temps, I think is what you have now. Maybe you've got 3 again. So we're in a world of hurt because we have people. I'm afraid to even have people go in because you can't see the holes very well, and it's pretty hard. That'll mean it's harder for them to mow. And we were all set to get it mowed, and then Dave, who just takes great care of us, got shingles. So he's been out. And, we get bumped because there's bigger fish, and that would be the Black Bay Arts Festival. But we really need to find some time soon as possible to get that mowed, and it won't be until after Black Bay Arts. And he's doing the best he can. And I know they lost Sean, so it's not good. And we have had a lot of visitors. I get calls almost every day for someone that wants the code and goes in there. A lot of relatives and descendants, and also a lot of people from out of town. So I think we talked last month that we did get the grant finished up. We're working on another 40 or so headstones, and that should be done come December. And the Roundhouse has reached out, and I put that onto Becky's plate. They've reached out, and they would like to do some promotional stuff about the cemetery. So I don't know where that's going to go, but she figures the person from Roundhouse will take several months, kind of get that down to what she wants to do. So one thing I have been doing is posting some little birthday of the week things on there, which takes an incredible amount of time because I often have an obituary, but who wants to just read 4 or 5 obituaries? So this last one, as I look at Jared, was that I did was Daniel Washington Hayward. So, short little obituary. He was part of the Indian Wars. He was made big. That I think that was in the headline. So the Indian Wars that he was part of was the Rogue Wars. And Rogue, if you go back and look at where that name came from, it was sort of people that did things differently. So there was a lot of conflict down there. And he was living in Port Orford. So there was a militia that organized in Port Orford. And the captain of that said he needed to chastise those renegades that had left the reservation. Because at the time, they were just wholesale taking anyone that they could up to the reservation, which now is called Siletz. But it was tribes that didn't like each other, people far from their homeland. Like, why the heck would you want to stay there on this barren property and you get potatoes and flour and that's all you get to eat? So his chastising was that they eradicated people, and at least 20 people were eliminated. Natives were eliminated with them chastising the natives. So that was I'm sure we'll get some comments on that one, which we should, but I think it's important not, just to look at how it was. There was conflict from both sides. And now we don't seem to have quite the same conflict. The Oregon Cultural Trust was hosted down here. I don't think they've ever been down here before. They had a really good cook that made really good salmon, and he's sitting right there. So he cooked the salmon over an open fire, and it was a great opportunity to have people that don't come down to Coos Bay, because we are sort of out of way, bringing them into the Plank House and remembering some of the things. Don Ivy was really instrumental in getting that plank house built, and he was a real mentor to my daughter Becky. And we're still benefiting from all the stuff he brought to this community. So we're doing that, and staying in the same vein of things. So I'm just about ready to submit documentation for another headstone from the government. No cost for that, just a cost for installing it. So this will be for a Confederate soldier. So we have 4 Confederates already buried in there, but no one has a GI issued headstone, so it'll look very much like the other ones, the other 15 we've gotten. But the top, instead of being rounded, has a point, and the old wives' tale was the point was so no one could sit on it. Yeah, but and in talking with my daughter over it, this is an educational cemetery. That's its primary purpose, is to talk about that. So maybe if we were in a private cemetery, we wouldn't have this very obvious GI headstone. But we think this is worth setting up a dialogue for people to talk to. One of the headstones, which keeps getting bumped from phase to phase, will be of someone that served as a lieutenant from Illinois, and he was also introduced the legislation to allow women to practice law in the state, and also the governor picked him as the first brigadier general in 1896 when they reorganized the National Guard, and also he was the editor and publisher of the newspaper. So who was his cohort and doing all this stuff? Someone that served for the Confederates. Also a lawyer, was tagged as the adjutant general for the National Guard. So obviously, if those 2 guys could get along and working out, I'm sure they had differences, but we think this is a really good story to tell. You don't have to agree on everything. You just have to be civil with each other and learn how to work things out. So that'll be our next headstone, will be a Confederate headstone. We just like to keep things interesting. Our next real project that I think everyone can buy into will be the 3rd week in September. 2 art teachers in Florida started a Pinwheels for Peace project. So we've done that for 2 years now. So the art, Miss Heidi Otitis' classes at Marshfield, it's a sort of a beginning arts and crafts class that I get to work with throughout the year. It has a lot of freshmen and young, unartistic students in it. So we do some pretty interesting projects. They're the same class that does the Chinese New Year, and then they're going to make paper and put seeds from the cemetery in it. So that'll be coming up in the third week, and it's great. We can just display it on the right across the fence there, and we don't get complaints about that one. No one never gets them up in the air. And then just putting on your thinking caps and all. I know Chelsea Schnabel has got under control and looking at internally at some ideas. We will have a $3,000 grant. It's a non-competitive grant, and it's because we're a Heritage All-Star community. So that the first time it came 2 years ago. It comes every other year if it continues to get funding. First time it came up, we didn't have much time to think about a project, and it kind of got used up and taken care of. So I think the idea is we're thinking about this, and we have a lot of heritage sites that we all work together on all this. So that's what's keeping me busy and out of trouble. So are there any questions about any of that?
Commissioner Bush? All right. Thank you so much for all that you do. It's always impressive to me every time you come in.
Well, you're welcome. And we really do want to get Boy Scouts. And the thing is, I hope we haven't totally killed the idea of having a Friends of the Coos Bay Parks, because we really need that kind of thing. When I watch people that I've met with at the cemetery and they're fumbling in their pockets and stuff from change, and they don't carry money anymore. Yeah. So having something like Kurt's talked about where we could have a Venmo or a PayPal and take some funds in, because neither the school or the city is allowed to do that kind of stuff. So hopefully that can go around again, and I think everyone here that has interest in parks would benefit from that.
I think so. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Cricket.
Thank you.
All right, we have Commissioner closing comments. We'll start. Carmen, do you have anything you would like to add? Patty?
Sorry. It just takes so long to get to that button. I do not have any real comments. Most of my comments were stated that I'm just super supportive of that Trails program and really looking forward to it, and very grateful for the young Boy Scout who's hoping to help us out with that Mingus Park community building. So that's all.
Thank you, Carmen. Patty?
Yeah, I just wanted to say publicly thank the City of Coos Bay grant writers for helping us. We're putting in a grant to fix the bridge that connects our properties, to expand the walkability, rideability between the two properties. And we've done extensive work out there on the 68 acres on the north side of campus, and have successfully cleaned up all the camps and irritated them to the point where they're vandalizing power poles and other things because they're mad at us. As in apparently some bikers are mad too, that we've made it more difficult to get into some areas because we're trying to keep mattresses out and big things, so you can't have it all. But everything is still accessible, and the right clientele is out there utilizing this space. So thanks for helping us with that grant. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Patty. Jared?
Yeah, several weeks ago, my folks drove all the way out here from Minnesota, and I took them for a lovely little stroll through Mingus, and I just wanted to pass along from them their compliments on Mingus. They've been to Coos Bay, but we'd never took the chance to stroll, and so they were very impressed. And I actually got pictures of them my dad does the smiling pictures, and I got some of him smiling for once. So kudos to Greg and his team for that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nell, for all your hard work. You guys really put your neck out there every day.
Well, I already have it on. I guess I was ready. I've looked at Mingus lately too, and I have to second that. It really looks nice, and I know it takes a lot of work to make it look that nice. So, and I actually do hope that at some time we can have a get together in some of our parks and actually look at them and talk about them a little bit. So if there's a way to do it without it being a meeting, that would be great. If it has to be a meeting, I could see the only downfall is we videotape our minutes. I don't know how you would do that. So, but I still think that would be good. I hope we can get that pickleball thing on a work session meeting. I think that would be a good thing to talk about because, you know, it's popular right now, and I think the court would probably be used. I hope on a work session, too, we can again address the thing about art, you know, and sculptures, so we don't let that just drop. And then a plug for the other foundation, the Library Foundation. The Library Foundation has a garage sale at the library in the big building, big meeting room on August the 29th from 9 to 2. So if you're interested in buying somebody else's precious commodities, come to the library on August the 29th. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie?
I too appreciate the work that's been done on the West Park, the Central Park, but I want to bring up the not park in East Side.
The East Side Park? Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
that park.
Yeah. Anyway, we're having a run. Coos Watershed is having a Coos Coho to Restore run, and we're using invasive species as the medal. So come on out on Saturday before you go to the Blackberry Arts Festival.
Thank you. Greg?
I think that would be considered a whittle instead of a medal. Whittle.
Greg, any other additional wonderful commentary?
I do. No more commentary. But
Okay.
I thought it was, has had some whittles. We will look to schedule that field trip in January. Yeah, how's that? Is that good? All right. We have sent that question off to the city attorney to ask how we can do that, if we can do that. So we're working on that. Thank you for observing and seeing the efforts that's happened in Mingus Park. My goal is to, if we get this grant for the playground equipment, is to be done with Mingus Park for some time. Obviously, maintenance and ongoing things have to be done, but after we get that grant and we get that new playground equipment put in, I want to pivot my focus, and I would encourage the commission to help me focus our efforts over to John Toppitz. My goal is we've done a lot of good efforts in Mingus Park. I think the playground equipment, once we finish that up, that'll kind of bring us full circle. Of course, we do have other projects we want to do at Mingus Park, but I think once we get done with that, I think we can then pivot our focus over to John Toppitz Park. We do have the old playground equipment over there. There's some members on the commission that would like other projects done. Not going to say any names, but we do have some other projects inside of John Toppitz Park, maybe some trail rehabilitation.
Bridge.
Some other words that rhymes with idge.
Yeah.
But we do have some other projects, so that's my goal. My planning process is once I start on something, I want to kind of see it through to the end and then start on something else. Same with my roads, you know, you see a kind of a pattern going through with that. No, we really do appreciate that you folks recognize that. I also want to recognize Noah for coming in. Actually, I talked with him a couple months ago. He came in with that pretty big idea of re-roofing the community building up there. I want to kind of get that realistic bubble thinking in his head. It might just take a couple years to even get permits to do that, or even get the funding. And so I hope that we will work with him to reach that goal, but also I'm glad that he has some other goals in mind that if we have to, we can pivot to and support him in that effort. I know it's a big project to get your Eagle Scout badge. There's a lot of moving parts that go along with that. So thank you to the commission for supporting him in that, and we're going to continue to support him in that. So, but other than that, thank you folks for all your volunteering and the efforts that you folks do. Each week, it seems like we're having a meeting. That's how it feels when I'm writing staff reports. But thank you for coming in and doing what you guys do every couple weeks.
It only feels like that because we're also in your nightmares, so. Christine, do you have any updates?
I don't have any comments, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for everyone who's come in today and for our commissioners for being here, for our community coming together, because that what makes our community work. So I appreciate all of you. Hope everyone has a safe and happy weekend. Thank you.